Welcome to the explainer. Have you ever just wished your code could do more with less? And maybe, just maybe, be smart enough to stop those annoying crashes? Well, today, we're diving into Kotlin, a language that was literally built to be concise, safe, and just really powerful. So let's kick things off with this idea, right? What if your code could be both powerful and polite? Powerful enough to do the heavy lifting, but polite enough to not crash and burn on you. And that question, it's really at the heart of everything Kotlin is about. All right, first up, let's talk about how Kotlin handles one of the most basic things in programming, making decisions. We're going to move past those old school, and let's be real, kind of clunky if-else blocks we're all used to. And I love this analogy for it. It's like a smart shortcut. Think about Kotlin's if, not as some command you're giving, but as an answer you're getting. So instead of this big branching mess of code, you just get a direct result. Simple. Okay, so here's the big mental shift you have to make. In Kotlin, if is an expression. And what does that mean? It means it doesn't just do something, it returns something. It gives you a value back. You can literally grab the result of that if check and stick it right into a variable. And trust me, this cleans up your code like you wouldn't believe. Just look at this. Finding the max of two numbers, a task that in other languages might need a temporary variable and a few lines of code, is done in one single beautiful line. That's exactly what we mean by getting rid of boilerplate. The code just says what it does. So clean. All right, so if-else is great for two options. But what if you have a whole bunch of choices? Well, this is where Kotlin's when expression comes in. And honestly, it's like a switch statement on steroids. I think this multipath decision gate idea is just perfect. Think of it like a super smart traffic junction. It's not just checking if a car is red or blue. No, it can check if it's a truck, what lane it's in, how fast it's going, you name it. It's a really powerful way to direct the flow of your code. And just look at how flexible this thing is. I mean, when goes way beyond just matching values. You can check if a number falls inside a range, if something is in a collection. You can even check what type of thing a variable is. It's this kind of flexibility that lets you write logic that's super clear and expressive. So this whole idea of making smarter decisions, it flows right into one of Kotlin's biggest selling points, safety. Let's dig into how the language is actually designed to stop entire classes of crashes from ever happening in the first place. It's kind of like this. Before Kotlin lets you work with an object, especially if it doesn't know what it is, it makes you check its type passport. You got to verify its identity before you can move forward. Safety first, right? And how do you do that check? With a simple little keyword, is. But here's the really cool part. Once you've checked and confirmed what that object is, Kotlin is smart enough to just treat it that way from then on. You don't have to manually cast it. It's called a smart cast, and it just works, giving you safe access to everything you need, no extra work required. Now, when it comes to changing types or casting, Kotlin basically gives you two choices. You've got the forceful, I'd say risky, way with the as operator. If that fails, boom, your program crashes. But then there's the polite, safe, very Kotlin way, the as operator. And here's that politeness in action. We're trying to do something that's impossible, turn a string into a number. Instead of just blowing up and crashing, the as operator just politely returns null. And this is huge because it directly tackles what's been called the billion-dollar mistake, the dreaded null pointer exception. By making you handle nulls gracefully, Kotlin just wipes out an entire category of bugs right at the language level. Okay, now we're getting to a feature that honestly feels a bit like magic. This is where you can really see how flexible and practical Kotlin is, because it lets you add new powers to existing code in a way you probably didn't think was possible. So picture this. You're using a class from some library, let's say a basic list, and you're thinking, man, I really wish this list had a certain function. But you can't change the original code, right? It's locked down. So how do you teach it a new trick? Well, Kotlin's answer is this idea of an add-on skill. And the way it does this is with something called extension functions. The concept is actually really simple. You're not changing the original thing, you're just adding a new skill to it from the outside. So what does that actually mean for you? It means you can add new functions to any class you want, even classes from libraries you didn't write and can't touch. You're literally extending what they can do without all the baggage of inheriting from them. It's a game changer.
So look here, we're making a new function called swap, but check out the syntax, mutable list of t dot swap. See that? We're defining the function directly on the mutable list class. That little dot, that's where all the magic is.
And here's the payoff. We make a totally normal list of numbers, and then we can just call .swap on it. Just like that. It's as if that method was built into the list class from day one. Our list now has a new skill, and our code looks super clean and easy to read.
So when you put all this stuff together, the smart expressions, the safety features, these add-on skills, what does it all tell you about the Kotlin way of thinking? Well, it's not just a random collection of cool features. It's really a whole mindset.
It really boils down to a philosophy built on three main pillars. First, being concise, saying more with less code. Second, being safe, wiping out whole categories of errors before they can happen. And third, being pragmatic, giving you elegant, practical tools to solve actual, real-world problems.
And that, right there, is the big takeaway. A language like Kotlin doesn't just change the code you write, it changes how you think about solving problems in the first place. Which leaves us with one last question for you to think about. How do the tools you use every day shape the way you think?